Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the studio releases from one of my favorite bands of all time, my number 3 favorite band of all time, behind Deep Purple and Black Sabbath. Of course, we're talking about Whitesnake, who have been around since the late 70s. Okay, first started out as a kind of like bluesy hard rock act, morphed into a more metallic, dare I say, almost heavy metal style band, still with some bluesy influences. Okay, and then kind of took a bit of a hiatus for a while, kind of popping in and out a bit in the 90s. They came roaring back in the 2000s, still going strong to this day. They don't have a ton of albums, but they have a very healthy discography from their long and illustrious career, fronted, of course, by David Coverdale, with all sorts of great members, past and present. Some of the best guitar players on the scene have been in Whitesnake. You know who they are: Mickey Moody, Bernie Marsden, John Sykes, Mel Galley, Doug Aldrich, Reb Beach, Joel Hoekstra, Adrian Vandenberg. The list goes on and on. Steve Vai. A lot of great players, a lot of great songs, a lot of great albums. So I'm going to give you my ranking. Okay, your ranking may differ. Basically, how this works is I'm going to go from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. The goal here is to get up some conversation between all of us to talk about Whitesnake and the albums we love, why we love them, why we don't love them, and ranking them. Okay, so again, remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. Curious to see what you guys think and what your favorite Whitesnake albums are. That's kind of the goal here. All right, so I'm going to start off at the bottom of the barrel for me. And now, I'm not a big fan of this album. Most of the Whitesnake albums I like quite a bit. This one, I'm kind of like on the fence on. Restless Heart. Okay. This, I think, was originally supposed to be a Coverdale solo album. Record label thought otherwise, so David Coverdale and Whitesnake. This is long after Slip of the Tongue. This is after Coverdale Page. This is basically David and company, Adrian Vandenberg's along for the ride. I find this a very mellow album. Some nice melodies on a couple tunes. Really nothing rocking on here for the most part. Not terrible by any means. A pleasant listen. I don't know, when I think of Whitesnake, a pleasant listen is not really what I'm looking for. But like I said, I don't dislike it, but it's easily my least favorite of the Whitesnake albums. Okay, everything to follow, I like quite a bit. All right. I know some of these are ranking, near the bottom. Doesn't mean I don't love them, because I do. The next one I'm going to go with is Good to Be Bad. This was the kind of the start of the recent resurgence from the band to recorded output. Okay, released, when was this, about 10 years ago or thereabouts? Seems like forever ago, but not that long ago. This is a very strong album. I like it. Again, if for me, the most recent Whitesnake output has basically been a mixing of the mid-late 80s more metallic version with some of the bluesy influences from earlier in their career. I dig this a lot. Some really good guitar work from Doug Aldrich and Reb Beach on here. I think Mr. Coverdale, obviously he can't sing like he used to, but I think on the albums themselves, on the CDs, he sounds quite good. Okay. You go see him live. I know for some of you it's hit or miss, but I think he's still, for a guy who's approaching 70 soon, I think he holds up quite well. He's got a very capable band with him who are excellent on backing vocals to kind of help out things, and the overall sound is good. I like this album a lot. This is a good hard rocking album. Some strong songs on there. I'm going to go with the latest, Flesh and Blood, next. Again, it's kind of recent, so I don't have as much history with this as I do with a lot of the others. So even though it's kind of ranking down there, I like it quite a bit. It was in my top 20 of the year for last year. Some strong tracks on here. Of course, now we've got Joel Hoekstra joining Reb Beach on guitar for this. Okay, you got Tommy Aldridge, as always, on drums. Mr. Coverdale on vocals. A lot of really strong songs on here. I dig it. The production's great. It's on Frontiers Records. I like it. All right, so next up, I'm going to go with Snakebite. And, this one might be a little bit of a controversial one for some of you, because it's basically, Snakebite was the original EP released in 1978 over in the UK. What they did for a later CD issue is they released Snakebite with a few studio tracks from David Coverdale's solo album North Winds, which came out before that. But I think it's still a good representation of where, Whitesnake, the initial band, or at least Coverdale's solo band at the time, were. And I'm going to include it here because, again, I wanted, you want to include the original Snakebite tracks as a release, right? So, you got Come On and Bloody Mary's a great song. You got Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, a great remake, all right, and a song that still sits in the Whitesnake live set list to this day. Steal Away, Queen of Hearts is a fantastic song. Breakdown is really, really good. It's strong stuff, okay? Even with the extra tracks from the Coverdale solo album, still basically almost like EP length here, but very solid. I dig it. All right, next up, these next two I almost flip-flopped, but I'm happy with the way I ranked them here. Again, it's not that big a deal where they sit in the ranking. It's more, this is just an excuse to let's talk about the albums, right? I'm going to go with Forevermore next, which is my favorite of the 3 studio albums that they have released over the last decade or so, since they went back to recording new studio albums. If only for the title track alone, which I think is one of the best songs that Whitesnake has produced in quite a long time. Steal Your Heart Away is a great track. All Out of Luck I like quite a bit. Love Will Set You Free has got a great groove, a great riff. I dig that a lot. A lot of strong songs on here. I got a couple ballads on here. Dogs in the Street is a good raunchy rocker. But for me, Forevermore, the title track, is epic. And I think one of the greatest Whitesnake songs ever. Or at least, since the mid-'80s, okay? Definitely a fantastic song. All right, next up, and again, I almost flip-flopped this with Forevermore, but I'm going to go with Slip of the Tongue. I dug this quite a bit when it came out. I don't listen to it as much anymore. I don't know. I think that there's some fantastic playing on here. There's some very memorable songs on here. I just think that they were getting a little far away from the initial kind of blueprint of Whitesnake, even further away from the 1987 album, which I know for a lot of people that kind of draws the line, right? But I think that here, they were just trying to fit in with what everybody else was doing at the time, and I get it. But some great songs on here. You got some superb guitar playing from Mr. Steve Vai on here. All right, you got the Slip of the Tongue. The title track is fantastic. Judgment Day is really good. Sailing Ships, Wings of the Storm, fantastic tune. You got some kind of cheese on here. Kitten's Got Claws, I was never a big fan of. You got Deeper the Love, good ballad, whatever. Now You're Gone, another ballad. I kind of like that one. Slowpoke Music, you got the remake of Fool for Your Lovin', which got them a lot of attention on here. But overall, I think it's a great sounding album, expertly produced, fun album. Don't like it as much as I used to, but I still do like it. All right, next we're going to go to Love Hunter. I love that cover, huh? I actually have a shirt of this, and I know a couple times I've worn it out, and people looked at me like, I remember once my wife was like, "You're actually going to wear that out somewhere?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" But it's got a naked woman on it with a snake coming up between her crotch. I'm like, yeah. But it's a cool album cover, right? Regardless of all the weird sexual connotations, right? But a strong album. All right, another early album from the band. It's got Walking in the Shadow of the Blues on it. That's enough to rank it up there for me. I'm a big fan of that song. Medicine Man is a great song. The title track, Love Hunter, is good. He's got the wonderful We Wish You Well, which probably should have been longer. I think that could have been like a real big hit for the band, but it's like a minute and a half long. But some very strong songs on here. Again, this is more of the bluesy Whitesnake, almost like kind of like Southern rock Whitesnake. Twin guitars of Moody and Marsden, right? It's just a really good album, really strong album. As is this one. So this is basically their first full-blown debut. Okay, this is the full-length debut. This is Trouble. Trouble's Always Calling My Name. Some stellar tracks on here. Okay, Take Me With You. You've got the incredible Nighthawk, which I dig a lot. Free Flight. I loved kind of like the funky, if you like Come Taste the Band and Stormbringer era Deep Purple, not too far from the blueprint from that on here. Okay, Love to Keep You Warm, great song. Lie Down, ripping track. Don't Mess With Me, very strong album. I like it a lot, always have. Early Whitesnake, can't go wrong. Next up, I'm going to go with Come and Get It. So this is like, just before the Slide It In era. Okay, these guys were making some really, really strong tracks here. Title track is quite good. Child of Babylon, Lonely Days, just really, really great songs on here. Really great songs on here. Would I Lie to You? I love the cover art too. Just well produced. Was this a Martin Birch? I forget, people. Trying to remember all this stuff here. Produced, engineered by Martin Birch. Yeah, exactly. Don't Break My Heart Again. Dude, didn't want to forget to mention that one. That's a fantastic song. I like that kind of the darker, heavy bluesy stuff that they did around this time period. All right, next up, as we creep towards the top, going to go with Saints and Sinners. All right. Another Martin Birch production, of course. There's Mr. Coverdale strut stuff on the back. But, Young Blood, Rough and Ready, Bloody Luxury is a great song. Love that. A lot of fun. Victim of Love, another cool tune. This here you have the early version of Crying in the Rain, which is quite good on here. I think even bested on the self-titled 1987 album. What else? Dancing Girls is a kick-ass song. How about the title track, Saints and Sinners? Classic stuff. Again, Coverdale at around this time period, without a doubt, one of the best vocalists in heavy rock, in my opinion. All right, he just was doing no wrong at that time. All right, so coming in number 3, we're going to go with Ready and Willin'. Basically the shirt that I'm wearing here today. Title track, Kills. The original version of Fool for Your Lovin' is on here as well. Sweet Talker, Bad Daughter, You Talk Too Much, The Bitch Is in Heat, and You Better Run. What else we got? Title track, Ready and Willing, is excellent. Blind Man is great. Black and Blue, She's a Woman. Killer songs. In fact, there's a couple extra tracks on here that are... Mean Business is really good. Don't Mess With Me. You got Nighthawk on here as well, so that's kind of showed up in some of the other albums. But this is the remastered version. Some cool bonus tracks. A very, very, very strong album. Easily one of my favorites. But the top 2 have been the top 2 forever. There was no messing around with those top 2. It was more like, how are the rest of these going to fit in? I'm going to go with number 2. If you guys have been following me on this channel for all these years, you already know what my number 1 is. But number 2 shouldn't be a mystery either. Slide It In. I remember when this came out, I could not stop listening to this. And I still listen to this a lot to this day. This is a great one. So, of course, this is the U.S. edition. Okay, which has John Sykes on guitar alongside Mel Galley, whereas the UK version, the initial version that came out, had Mickey Moody along with Mel Galley. So what they did was for the US version, they kind of toned down Mickey's parts a bit, and Sykes added in some pinch harmonics and a couple heavier riffs and things in that. And here we have, the new version of Whitesnake. And then before you know it, Mel Galley had an arm injury. He no longer could perform, so it was just all Sykes. But great songwriting in this album. This, for a lot of people, is like the end of Whitesnake's great era, the more blues era, to give way for the one I'm going to mention next. But I still think this is plenty metallic. This is like for me, a perfect mix of the early bluesy era of Whitesnake with the 80s heavier version that was just coming into play. You got title track, Slide It In. Slow and Easy is absolute classic. Love Ain't No Stranger. Okay. All or Nothing. Gambler, Hungry for Love, Spit It Out, for crying out loud. Love the guitar licks in that tune. Standing in the Shadow. I mean, every Hungry for Love, Give Me More Time. Top to bottom, a fantastic album. And, one of my favorite albums of all time. It's that good. Only bested by the next one. Okay? Self-titled, or 1987, whatever you choose to call it. All right? A lot of people over the last couple of years, I've done various shows where I talk about my favorite albums of all time, my favorite bands of all time. And, I seem to get a lot of flack from a lot of people who are like, they only listen to classic stuff, or they only listen to prog, or they, everything's got it's, or, they're huge Zeppelin fans of the Who or the Stones or the Beatles or whatever. And then when I talk about how much I love this album or this band, they're like, oh, you had me till you mentioned Whitesnake. Here I Go Again, and Is This Love, and it's all they talk about. It's as if like Whitesnake as a band never existed before this album. So, as is with most people, all right, here's my explanation of why I love this album so much, why I love this band so much, okay? First of all, I was a huge Deep Purple fan. So obviously Coverdale meant a lot to me, all right? Second, when this album came out, I was in college. I remember driving through a fucking snowstorm from SUNY New Paltz, State University in New Paltz, New York, all the way to Rock Fantasy in Middletown, New York, in a snowstorm, in a piece of shit car, knowing that I probably could have crashed and died anywhere along the way. But I knew the day that this came out. I knew Steve Keeler had it in stock, and I had to get it. And then when I got it, I came back to my apartment that I was living in off campus. And I remember playing this nonstop. Honestly, I didn't stop playing this like constantly for probably like 5 years. And like everybody that I knew in school, all my fellow hard rock and metal fans, we all were into it. I saw them live on this tour. It's just, and the songs, even more important is that one of the songs on here, Still of the Night, became the theme song because I was a TV production major. That song became the theme song to a music video that myself and my team in one of my my TV production classes or video production classes, that became the song to a music video that we did. Okay. And it just, when you're shooting and editing a music video, that's like, it becomes your life for like weeks on end. Right. So even though I absolutely love Still of the Night, it's the reason why I suggested it to my team, we just ate and breathed Still of the Night and all the footage we shot, which, by the way, we turned into a werewolf. Again, this was all my idea. If you guys know me, I'm a big horror fan. Okay, I love classic Universal monsters. I'm a big Wolfman fan, the werewolves and Wolfmen. So what we decided to do was we decided to shoot a werewolf story to Still of the Night. And it came out great. It was a lot of fun. And it's just a part of my life that I'll never forget. So I kind of tie all this stuff together. And still to this day, I just adore this album. Okay? Crying in the Rain kicks off one of the best kickoff tracks to any album ever released. Okay? It just like bludgeons you right from the beginning. All right? And it's even more powerful than the original version. You've got Bad Boys. You've got Still of the Night. I mean, right? 1, 2, 3. Boom! Whammo! Heavy, heavy, heavy. Screaming guitar work. Coverdale just singing with so much gusto. All right? Here I Go Again, Is This Love? Yeah, they're played out to death. Honestly, I don't need to hear either one of those songs ever again. But the rest of the album, Give Me All Your Love, great, great anthem. Children of the Night still kicks ass. Okay? Straight for the Heart and Don't Turn Away. I love Don't Turn Away. Very underrated song. Just all real memorable stuff. The production is just stellar. This album just like burst through the speakers. And I remember from day one putting this on, I was like, holy moly. Okay? And for all the people who constantly say how, Whitesnake, they just became a hair metal band. All right, so they adopted the look, but this music on this album is nothing like Poison or Cinderella or Motley Crue or any of those bands. Faster Pussycat, all that nonsense. There's nothing on here that sounds like that. Just because they grew their hair really long and used the, teased it up and all, because everybody was doing that. Every band was doing that. That's why I never consider Whitesnake a hair metal band, because especially all those albums that we've already talked about that came before this have nothing to do with that at all, right? But you know what? They made a lot of money with this, and I guess any hard rock or metal band that was making a lot of money and shooting videos was considered hair metal at the time. So whatever. I rest my case. If you still feel differently, that's fine, whatever. But I still love them. I don't really care. So there you have it. Those are my rankings. Or that is my ranking for the Whitesnake catalog. All right, let's go over that once again. So it's coming in at number 1, self-titled in 1987, whatever you want to call it. Coming in at number 2, Slide It In. Coming in at number 3, Ready and Willin'. Coming in at number 4, Saints and Sinners. Coming in at number 5, Come and Get It. Coming in at number 6, Trouble. Coming in at number 7, Love Hunter, baby. Coming in at number 8, Slip of the Tongue. Coming in at number 9, Forevermore. Coming in at number 10, Snakebite. Coming in at number 11. Skin and Bone, Flesh and Blood, Skin and Bone. I'm sorry, to read that. Skin and Bone, coming in at number, where are we up? 12, Good to Be Bad. And coming in at number 13 at the bottom of the barrel is Restless Heart. There you have it. So again, you know how this goes. Comments and feedback. I want to see your list. How do you rank them? What are your favorite Whitesnake albums? What are your least favorites and why? Remember, don't sit here and argue with me about which ones I like. That doesn't do anybody any good because you're not going to change my opinion. I want to know which albums you like the best, okay, and why. That's what this is all about. Let's talk about Whitesnake. Let's talk about these albums. If you don't like Whitesnake, you can't stand Whitesnake, don't comment. Wait for the next video, all right? Because we don't, the negative comments, oh, Whitesnake sucks, whatever. It's like, whatever, all right? Many of us love them, and that's just the way it is. Get used to it. All right, so coming up this weekend, guys. Like I said, all the programming stuff with the special guest that we were going to do last weekend, not happening now. I'm busy, and so it's probably going to be a couple weeks before we get, with Mike Antonelli and Butch Jones and Chris Allo and everybody to do all those shows. So it's coming. So just we'll get it scheduled. But now I'm busy for like the next 2-3 weeks, so it's going to be a little nuts. But otherwise, what can you expect this weekend? I am going to do King Crimson, ranking the albums, the studio albums. I'm also going to hopefully get to Uriah Heep this weekend as well. Okay? I'm not sure if I got any other fun stuff on my to-do list, but I'm sure there's plenty to do. So we'll see what we can get to, all right? So I'll see you guys real soon. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. That's right. So we'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye.